Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see all the other fun videos that we're going to have coming your way. We're going to start off with our little cliffhanger we had on the last video that we were talking about. And that cliffhanger we left you off on is, what is this for? This here, in case you don't know, is actually a stove jack for our Cabela's Lacnac tent. And if you don't know what a stove jack is, I guess I'm going to explain it to you. And if you do already know what a stove jack is, I guess I'm going to mansplain it to you. So this is actually a fireproof material here. Well, I shouldn't say fireproof necessarily. Fire resistant material here with a fire resistant rubber ring that will allow us to have a stovepipe go through here. And speaking of the stove, this is our stove right here. It's actually a Kni-Co Alaskan Jr. wood stove, and this is the same one we used last year, which is why it looks a little rusted up, if you will. These are just kind of the way that they end up looking after you use them for a little bit. You can see where the fire was and things like that. And this is still perfectly sound. Nothing wrong with it. We're going to use it again this year. When I got this, this is what was recommended to me from Kni-Co's website, and this actually measures 18 inches from the front all the way to the back, and then you're 12 inches from your side to your side, as well as your top to your bottom. So that's a pretty good size firebox. When I got it, you know, you can hear the measurements and all that, and you can read it online, and it's just one of those things where, you know, it didn't sound that big, and even when I got it, it doesn't seem that big. But I will tell you from experience, last year we used this, and this thing can crank out some heat. So it can really warm this tent up. So it's a pretty good size for this tent. The only thing is, with the smaller box, you do have to, you know, remove some ash from it a little more frequently than some of the larger stoves. But you know, hey, that's just what happens when you have one of these sometimes. And the bigger you go, the heavier they are. So, you know, I think it's a good size for the weight that it is. So here on the front, you can see we have a nice door with a nice nice hinge, a little spring on this thing here to try and keep you from burning yourself. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't work all that great. I've gotten the thumbs burnt a little bit, but we've also got a nice air damper in here, so you can adjust. And like I said, this is used, and this still moves nice and freely to adjust how much air goes in, which will impact how hot your fire is, things like that. And then we've also got on the inside, we have goodies. So let's pull some of these out. Actually, before we pull them out, I guess we'll get this door closed here. I know what you're thinking. This is awful low, and I'm thinking the same thing while I'm trying to record this. So if you actually take and look here at the bottom, there are feet. So these feet just come out, you just pull out, and we'll tip this back up. Okay, and I believe this puts this top about 20 inches off of the floor. It's still not super tall. You kind of have to crouch down in there to actually use it, but that's okay. Again, size is key when we're dealing with this, and when we have to take this with us. So opening up the front door again, checking out our goodies. One of the things I really like about this, and it's not exclusive to this stove, most of these camp stoves like this do this, but pretty much everything you need or would want packs into it, so it doesn't take up any additional space. So starting with the smaller part, this is the spark arrestor here. This just folds down, and it will actually go, and this will go into the top of the pipe. On the island, they do not allow any open fires except for in the actual campground. There's a couple fire rings there, but those fill up really fast. It's really close to the dock. It's not in an area that I particularly want to be in. I'd rather be more in the thick of it, kind of further inland. But you are allowed to have a fire as long as it's contained like this in the wood stove. But you do have to have a spark arrestor, obviously. You don't want to burn the island down. So we have our nice spark arrestor here. Does a pretty good job. Like I said, it is used. This has been cleaned a little bit, about as good as I can get it. So we have a spark arrestor there. The next pieces I want to pull out is the actual chimney itself, and you can see, maybe you can see, these all sit inside of one another. They all fold down. This is a graduated chimney, so it actually starts at 5 inches here at the opening, and then as it goes up through that hole and out that hole, it will reduce to 4 inches, which is at the top where the spark arrestor goes in. So these all are going to pull out, and we'll install these into the wood stove also. Set those over there for now. This is the first piece and possibly one of the most important pieces. So this actually has the damper inside of it. You can see it'll open and close. That's going to allow the smoke and also some heat to exit or to not exit as much. The last piece that I have in here, it's actually a 2-piece, is, ooh, that's loud. I have what they call a false bottom. It's 2 pieces. This isn't necessarily required, but in order to get the most longevity out of the bottom of your box, it is suggested, and I will suggest it also, because it does 2 things. One, it goes in here and it covers the bottom of the box, and it keeps that direct heat off of the bottom of the actual the firebox itself, so you don't have to worry about burning through the bottom of it, which can happen. It is just 22 gauge steel. You get a fire too hot and you can certainly have some issues. The other thing is, you can see there's holes in this bottom tray, and that helps promote airflow up from the bottom to provide a higher quality burn and help you start a fire a little bit easier and keep one going a little bit easier. So I highly recommend it. It was additional, but it was worth it to me. Okay, the first part of this that we want to put in is the damper. So you just stick this right into the top. You give it a little push down like that. Just make it nice and secure, and that's good enough. Now, it doesn't really matter which side you put the adjustment knob on. I like it on this side because it hangs off of the wood stove a little bit more, so you don't have to worry about it heating up. It's a little bit easier to access, in my opinion. So that's the side that I put it on. And then just pull these one off of the other, and these just slide into one another. Okay, that's it for the inside. Now we got to go to the outside, finish putting these pipes on, and of course, spark arrestor. I'll see you out there. All right, so this last piece I like to put together on the ground outside of the tent. Just makes it a little bit easier. So I'll pull these 2 pipes apart. The smaller one's gonna go right into here. Wiggle her down like that. Then take the spark arrestor here and just put it right on top of this. And these little edges kind of come around and hold onto the side of the pipe. That helps, hold it down in there and stop it from blowing around too much. I like to do this on the ground because I'm a little short and I can't really reach the top of this once it's all the way built out. So now I've got it all built up. Just got to add it to the pipe sticking out of the tent. All right, we've got it all assembled. Now we're just got to attach it to the pipe that's actually sticking outside of the tent here. All right, give it a good push down, and as you can see, I can't reach the top of this, which is why I like to build that all in one. I also like to keep the vent going parallel with the front door. I don't really have any reasoning as to why. It's just, to me, it seems like, hopefully it will go across the tent this way and be removed from the tent area faster. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Please let me know in the comments if it's better for this to go the other way, or if it just doesn't matter. Leave a comment below so I know, because again, I'm still learning. We used this last year for the first time, and there was some steep learning curves to it. We really struggled with figuring it out while we needed it. So this is set up a little bit early so we could try and figure it out before I get there, and it'll be a little bit better time in using the wood stove. So now let's go back inside and see what it looks like in there. All right, so now we're back in the tent. You can see the wood stove is set up on its feet. We have all the pieces put together, the false bottoms in the bottom of the firebox. We've got the damper here, which we can easily adjust. Pipe comes up, and then we have a little gap. And I know what you're thinking, well, that's gonna let in a lot of rain if it rains, or when it rains. And we really didn't have a problem with that last year. Most of the stoves I see, they have this 5-inch to 4-inch gradient stovepipe, and they do that so it all packs in there. But Cabela seems to put a 5-inch opening on here. There's not a whole lot we can do. I can't, in order to raise this to fill that hole, I mean, that puts it well, I don't know, puts the wood stove about waist high, and it's just not practical to do that on the island. And I actually think with all the heat that comes off of here, there's a draft that comes out, and I think it actually keeps the rain out. So we didn't have any issues with that last year, so I don't anticipate any issues with it this year. So this is the way that we have it set up, and this is the way we're going to use it. So here in a minute, we're going to actually start a fire in this thing and see how well it does. All right, hopefully this doesn't look like a creepy ghost story, but here it is late at night. Got the kids. We're going to actually sleep out here in a tent. And oh no, knocked over my light. First things first, take a look. Yeah, we're about 40 degrees. I rechecked the weather forecast. It's supposed to get into the mid to low 30s tonight. So
I think we're already to 42.
Priority number one, yeah, I think we're already down to 40 degrees now. You can start to see my breath, and it's only September. So we're gonna get a fire going, and I'm gonna shine the light down there. So we've got, some wood made up here, little chips. We got some smaller stuff over here to get going. You guys know how a fire starts, but one thing I wanted to talk about was this right here. This is, I don't know, I call it pine core or pine center. I think some people might call it fat wood. Basically, it's like the center of a limb of a pine tree, and all the resin goes into here. This stuff's real flammable and starts fires really, really well. So we're going to break off a little piece of this and get it lit in the fire, because it's really cold out here. So we'll be right back with you. You can kind of see I got just a little teeny tiny bundle started in there, and then I actually have a couple pieces of that fire starter material in there. So we'll actually I've got a little handy dandy blowtorch, which is $6. It's super light. It's butane, and it gets really hot, so it starts fires quickly. I'll actually be taking this on the island with me, because I make my life any harder than it has to be. So let's see if we can actually get in here, and now you can see the first thing that's actually burning is those little pieces. You can see how well those hold the flame. So then all we got to do really is try to get some of these other small bits to start. And we do have the damper open on the wood stove. And I've already, pre-processed some of these small pieces, which is of course a very good plan. It's a good idea to have some ready to go already to build your fire. You really don't want to be wasting time or energy trying to start a fire if you're not ready to go. So we'll get this fire going. You guys can find many videos on YouTube of how to get a good fire going, so I'm not going to waste your guys' time. We can just set back up on the stand, and then we can kind of watch and see what we can do with temperature. All right, it's been about, I don't know, I'd say about an hour, maybe a little bit more, and I just looked. It's 42 degrees outside, and just for shine light over there, just so you know, we do have that door actually closed this time. Not just the screen, the actual outside door. As well as these side windows are closed probably about halfway. And then the windows above it, those are completely closed from the outside. So we do have the tent a little bit more buttoned up, but we have the fire going now. So we certainly have quite a fire going. Only 2 logs in there, and still not a full bed of coals, but I gotta close that. That's hot. That's hot. Too hot. Thumb. So you can see we actually just had to turn the air inlet down a little bit. I've got the damper there down about closed about 1/3 of the way. So yeah, we actually just closed this a little bit because, believe it or not, with it being about 40 degrees outside, guess what? It's about 70 degrees inside. So right now it's a 30-degree temperature. I'm pretty comfortable at 70 degrees in here. I'm not even using the sleeping bag. So we'll see how long we can actually maintain temperature with this turned down like this, and maybe we'll do an update in the morning. Okay, so let's review the night. We had the wood stove going all night long. It was pretty warm in here, to be honest with you. Of course, with being a tent, you put the wood on the fire, the temperature gets up there, and then as it dies out, it gets colder, right? There's pretty difficult to really sustain heat. I was up probably every maybe 3 hours or so, add a little bit of wood to the wood stove. That's not too shabby. I was also a little concerned, you know, we had the kids sleeping in here, and I really didn't want them to get cold when it's just me and I'm in a really, really warm sleeping bag. Probably will be less concerned about that. But about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I actually checked the weather on my app, and it said it was 34 degrees outside. And I actually looked at the little thermometer thing I have sitting here, and it said it was 60 in here. So, you know, that's pretty good. 30-degree differential. I'm not going to complain about that. It was plenty comfortable. In fact, you know, once I put wood on there, it got warm enough to where I really couldn't use the sleeping bag all that much. I had it mostly off or open, and regulating the temperature that way by opening and closing the bag. So I think it went pretty well. We didn't die, so that's good. Didn't have any complaints from the kids, and the kids are the ones that I really worried about. If they could sleep out here overnight on a cold night like that, then you know we're doing good. Everybody who's ever camped with kids know they get pretty cold pretty easily. So everything seems to test out okay. We're actually good with our wood stove, and I think we're gonna have nice warm nights, and we're gonna be able to dry our stuff out on the island perfectly fine. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. If you have any questions or comments, particularly comments, I'd love to hear them. I'd like to figure everything out before I get to the island and I have to do a video of, oh, I did something stupid. So again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We got more videos coming. It's getting crunch time. We're leaving in about a month now. So we really are going to be doing quite a bit of things. I'll have more videos coming for you soon.